Namaskar and welcome back to SapnoKePankh. We are talking to this lady from the state of Sikkim, the beautiful northeastern state of Sikkim. Her name is Sanjana Chettri, and we are at the Soas School of Oriental and African Studies, London. We are in the University campus of Soas, and जिन्होंने हमारे पहला वाला एपिसोड देखा संजना के साथ जो हम लोगों ने बात की, we spoke about her journey from that small village in Sikkim to Delhi University and then finally to SOAS, London. We spoke about how possibly she got the inspired to apply for a scholarship, a fully funded master's degree in UK. What was the trigger? We spoke about that. And today, आज की इस एपिसोड में हम बात करने वाले हैं कि Chevening scholarship, which is a very prestigious scholarship, as all of you or most of you know, success rate is less than 2% as compared to how many applicants are there, hundreds and thousands of applicants. How did she make it? How did she get this 45 lakh fully funded master's scholarship, and how did she land up in SOAS, London? Sanjana, tell us, first of all, what is the subject that you decided to pick up after your political science in DU? What is the subject you decided to pick up in your master's?
So I wanted to study development studies because I was also involved when I was working. I was in the development sector, so I definitely wanted to study development studies further for my master's. And in regard to my Chevening, so once my subject was decided, Chevening was quite interesting actually, and I've spoken to you about this. Because internet or like social media understands what your mind space is, so and I was looking through a lot of colleges, so there was a very random Facebook ad that propped up on about Chevening, and I didn't know about Chevening scholarships before then.
So that's interesting. Facebook and all social media knows what you're thinking,
Yes.
but for a change, this is for the good. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so and I was like, okay, wow, this is a government scholarship, and I read about it, and I was like, first thought I was like, the same thing that you said, the success rate is 2%. I was like, I am not going to get it because like I said, 10% of confidence I had, but I decided to apply anyway because it had 7 days. I came to know about it 7 days. I applied in the last 3 days.
Which year is this?
This is 2020, 2021 to 2022, but I applied in 2020. So I was
peak of COVID के समय पे you decided कि अभी UK जाना है.
Yeah, and I was quite young also. Then I was 22 actually. So
22 young. She's very young.
yes, I was actually, I'll tell this later, but yeah, so I decided that I will apply in the last 3 days, but I don't want to suggest this. Please take a lot of time to apply, but this also happens when you don't have confidence, no? When you don't have, and this I'm sure is a story of many people, because we are not confident, we are not going to put 100% of our effort because we feel like we'll fail anyway. So this is not the takeaway message, but then I did end up applying. But one thing that definitely worked for me was because I had so little time. I think whatever I wrote, whatever plans I wrote, I think it was not curated. It was right off my head. It was something that I've always been thinking about, but I had not put it together in words. So I knew what I wanted to do, but this Chevening essays were actually an exercise for me to understand, oh, this is what I want to do. And then it worked. And suddenly when I didn't hear back from, in December, they sift the applications and the eligibility criteria, and my friends heard back and I didn't. I was like, wow, shocked. And in February, I heard back on the interview, which was another shock because I never thought I'd make it. But I guess they did like the fact that somebody from Sikkim had applied, and I did have the work experience because during LSR, during my undergrad, I went to do a lot of internships. So I had a lot of work experience.
That's very interesting, right? So internships, and somebody else also in one of the interviews, I don't remember, had also said that try to garner that work experience, that internships, if you're doing and having this aspiration to do higher studies, because I think the statement of purpose that you write makes a lot of difference when you have this kind of experience. So what were some of those internships that you did around this, again around social sciences?
Around social sciences. So I went to work with Medha Patkar, who was a very prominent social activist on Narmada Bachao Andolan. I worked with Kamla Basin on Jagori. I went to different places. I went to Dharamshala. I stayed there for 1.5 months. I went to Madhya Pradesh. I interned with a lot of organizations in Delhi, and I think because I had a lot of work experience, so Chevening, the one requirement of Chevening is you have to have 2800 hours of work experience.
It's 2,800 hours of work experience. Wow.
So although I had a full-time job, I had the opportunity to, explain a lot of diverse work opportunities I had. So internships also get counted. So I think that also worked, that I had such different, diverse range of work experiences. So it does stand you out, and it does sort of tell them that, oh, you have, been able to showcase as a leader. So I think that definitely worked. And I think my interview worked quite well because, like I said, everything I'd written from the heart, and I had not curated, or I didn't even have anyone proofread my essay. I was that underconfident. So
And this was in 7 days. I said, I remember in my last episode we said record time, and you were saying, I thought it was 7 days. You're saying it's 3 days.
Yeah, because I was so not confident. Anyway, when the interview happened, one effort I made was, I was like, okay, let me reach out to some, former Chevening alums who might help me with the interview. And they were very kind, actually. They did get back to me, but I never ended up taking their support, which was a very bad idea. Please do take support from people. But then the interview was lovely, actually. The panelists were so supportive, Supriya and everybody, they make you feel very comfortable. And all the questions were also around the essays that I'd written. And I had a very clear, pragmatic plan as to how I want to achieve my future career plans, which is what I think also got struck. And I was pleasant and everything. So I think even after the interview, I was not sure, and there was that 15 days of intense anxiety because a lot of other countries had started receiving news. And when I received the news, it was around 11 o'clock. I was at home. I told I have the email, and I called my mother. And my mother was also very shocked. Like, oh, you didn't really prepare for it, but it was...
because you got the scholarship, right? Or
No, because she's like, she was happy, of course, but she was shocked. I said, you didn't put much of effort, but I mean, she's happy, of course, but this was such a great news for us, because by then I had actually thought of not coming for my masters. I had planned. I was in the middle of getting a job with the Delhi government, so I had planned to work for 2 more years and directly apply in the US. But Chevening came through, and then I was like, okay, so as it is.
मंजिलों के लिए रास्ते घनेरे चुनो राह ऐसी कोई अनजानी जो बने जिंदगानी बरो तृष्णगी लक्ष्य की मुट्ठियां बांध के अभी सपनों को पंख दे आसमां तेरे लिए बादलों से काट लो लम्हे जीत के सपनों को पंख दे जज्बे जिंदगी के सामने फैले पड़े सिरे उम्मीद के
Sanjana said, we don't recommend that you prepare for 3 days or 7 days and apply for Chevening. You should get help. You should prepare yourself, quite intensively. But then, what we're trying to highlight is that she had that grit. It's something like, probably you went to a state where you said, I have nothing to lose. Probably, yes. I mean, let me go for it, right?
Yes, I think this is the best takeaway message. You have nothing to lose but some hours of research and work, which will obviously be beneficial to you later. And when I actually got through the scholarship, I realized much later, not only was I one of the very few people from the state to get the scholarship, I also became the youngest Chevening scholar for this year. So I was like...
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's the youngest Chevening scholar from all the Commonwealth countries.
No, not from India, actually, from India.
And then how many Chevening scholars were chosen in this?
45. So I was the youngest among them, which was again quite a shocker. And I realized, oh, okay, this worked out. And in fact, I think the first set of validation I received, and I felt quite quite good about myself was this IAS officer had also made it through Chevening, and then the range difference is immense. There is somebody from Brazil who's 52 years old, and I'm also in the same cohort as them. So I feel it's a great learning experience. And when those IAS officers had hosted dinner or like whatever we had gone, I realized that this is going to be not just because it's going to fully fund my education, but the kind of people I will be exposed to, the kind of learnings that I could garner would be immense. So I definitely do recommend, because like he said, there's nothing to lose, but also because more and more people from our region, more and more people from difficult backgrounds must avail the benefits of education in the UK, while also we fix the problems in the country back home.
And also I think Sanjana, being a part of the whole Chevening network, no, and now you'll become an alumnus of Chevening. You also have a wide network across, not only within India but also across the Commonwealth countries. That probably would give you a lot of boost into whatever you plan to do as an entrepreneur, as a job seeker, or giving it back, going and doing social work, whatever. Right? You get that support, I believe.
Right. Yes. To be very honest, I think I was offered a job last week. It actually happened through Chevening Network. I'd met somebody who recommended me, and I have a job in hand. It is primarily through Chevening Network. But the second thing is, I think because you're exposed to people from different countries with different kinds of expertise, I think it's so I think it changes you in so many ways as a person. You become all the more confident. But I'm very interested in politics, so I got to meet a lot of lovely people from around the world who were involved in activism in their home countries. So not just networking in professional ways, but I think my own personal transformation. I no longer have those self-esteem issues. I do have esteem issues, of course, but I've been able to feel like, okay, yes, there's nothing that you can't achieve if you put in the right kind of hard work.
I'm sure a lot of students must be wondering, 45 lakh rupees and probably possibly more in case your university's tuition fees are high. So what I wanted to say is that Soas, the tuition fees could be less, more. Oxford, it could be slightly more. So whatever be the cost, Chevening takes care of that. So the scholarship range can go from 45 lakhs to 55 even. But did you save any money? And then I'm sure a lot of students might be willing to know, did you backpack across UK or Europe?
I saved a little bit of money, yes, but I haven't gone around backpacking in Europe. I have plans to, because I was quite involved with with activities on campus. Like I contested elections, I represented my department, I was working with my department, and also hosting a lot of we hosted this brilliant conference in the month of August based on focusing on India in 75th year of independence, and all the blind spots and the gaps and the failures, but also successes that India has seen in the last 75 years. So I was quite busy, but now that I'm done with my degree, I have a little bit of money saved primarily to be traveling around. So I'm looking forward to travel in the month of October. So you can save money and you can travel also. Yes, that's quite comfortable.
So like padhai ki padhai and scholarship ki scholarship, and then ek bhi paisa ghar se bina laye, you can go and do backpacking across Europe. How brilliant is that? I would have loved to have I never got an opportunity to study abroad, but then this is something that always inspired me, and probably that's the reason why SapnoKePankh happened. Thank you, Sanjana, for talking to us. We will break off from this section. We'll come back with a section 3 with Sanjana again next week, where we'll be talking to one of the students from her home state, Sikkim. We'll be talking to a student who is now a lawyer. Her name is Rachna. We'll be talking to her online on phone, and we'll be taking a few questions from her. I'm sure some of the questions that she would be asking would be representative of questions that many students who are watching this show would like to ask Sanjana. Don't go away. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And of course, as I said repeatedly, at the cost of being repetitive, don't forget to click on the bell icon and leave your feedback, leave your comments on the comment section. We'll try to respond back to that. Thank you so much for loving SapnoKePankh. Thank you so much for giving us all the love. We hope to keep coming back with more such interesting stories. But filhal ke liye, agle hafte we'll talk to Sanjana again on what she has to say to some of the questions that a student is going to ask. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.
आँखों के गहराए निशान ढूंढे नई एक एक दिशा धागे रोशनी के मांगे मेरी दुआ जिंदगी ने दी सदा सपना